In today's video, we dive into a compelling Reddit story about a man whose ex-wife is trying to win him back by using their daughters as a pawn in her emotional game. As he navigates the complexities of co-parenting and lingering feelings, he shares the struggles and dilemmas he faces when confronted with his ex's manipulative tactics. Join us as we explore themes of love, family dynamics, and the challenges of moving on after a relationship. Can he resist her attempts, or will the bond with their daughters sway him? This story raises important questions about boundaries, parental responsibilities, and the impact of past relationships on current happiness. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more engaging stories from Reddit and beyond. What would you do in this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Today's first story comes from my ex-wife uses daughters to get me back Reddit story. Want that to happen too? It doesn't really sound like a big problem, right? Yeah. Well, while I wish I could just plain Taylor to piss off and never bother me again, there is the matter of us having 2 daughters and sharing custody, so I can't excise her from my life on a permanent basis, not without removing our daughters too. We married fairly early in our lives back when we were 20, and we had been dating for 3 years before that. Our daughters were born in the very first year of the marriage, and there were some complications that meant my ex-wife would have difficulty conceiving again. It didn't matter to me at the time, because I was just glad she made it healthy and fine through the whole ordeal, and that we already had 2 beautiful baby girls to love and raise up. The marriage lasted for 9 years, ended when I divorced her for cheating. I have absolutely no tolerance for it, and I don't believe in forcing myself to suffer needlessly for crap. That wasn't my fault to begin with, while this might sound incredulous to some folks. Any love I had for my ex-wife was pretty much killed when I found out about her cheating and the details behind it, so yeah, this isn't a threat about me. Moving on from her, I've done that 7 years ago. Hell, I don't even hate her. I just don't give a damn about what goes on in her life unless it concerns our daughters. The problem is that it's only me that moved on from the whole thing. The ex-wife, her family, and even our daughters have kept trying to get us back together. Even though I made it plain and clear for everyone that I have no interest in ever doing that, me not dating at first for a few years after the divorce might have been giving them some false hope. But I sure as F wasn't going to jump into another relationship so soon, after not with our daughters to look after. They were my #1 priority. Besides my own issues, which stemmed from the excess cheating, those issues, by the way, got resolved with the help of friends, family, and some counseling. So yeah, that's over and done with. I have no issue communicating with our girls, none whatsoever. Anything else, they can understand it just fine. There's never been any fighting, no yelling, no nonsensical teenage rebellion. Thus far, no tantrums thrown and so on. Pretty great, right? Except for this whole thing. They know about her cheating on me, and it was their mother, in fact, who told them about it. Some 3 years ago, or so I imagine. She's been feeding them some kind of BS since then, and I've asked her countless times to stop with it, that it wasn't helping anyone, that it only prevented them from moving on, but the ex-wife didn't stop. She apparently just got subtler about it. In all the years since we divorced, she hasn't dated or slept with anyone else. While I suppose she thinks that's admirable, I don't, to be honest. I find it kind of insulting. When we were married, she asked someone else, but now she's fine, going without sex for 7 years, whatever, not that it matters. While I could ignore the occasional mentions of their mother of how well she looks, of them showing me photos they took with her. Obviously, all dolled up. For my sake, it's gotten worse lately. Why? Because I have a girlfriend. Clemens is not the first since the divorce, but she is the most serious relationship I had since my marriage ended. She also happens to be 8 years my junior. Before getting together as a couple, we knew each other for 4 years through a shared hobby, so basically it's a gradual transition from being friends to being involved with each other. I can honestly say I love this woman. It was a surprise to me when I realized that, because, while I didn't really want to admit it to myself, I was afraid for a time that what my ex-wife did to me damaged me on some fundamental level and rendered me incapable of ever truly loving someone else like I once did her. Initially, my daughters had very little to say about our relationship. Much like they didn't comment anything on the previous 2 I had post-divorce, but then they started coming home ahead of the schedule we set up in advance and they'd find me and Clemens together. Nothing compromising, not sex or anything of the sort. Then came the grumbling, then came the "why is she here?" question, then came the "it's not fair to mom what you're doing," as if I was actually doing this solely to spite or hurt their mother. So I sat them down and talked, and I talked and I talked, but they're just not getting it. They simply won't give up on this preposterous fantasy of theirs. Where I get back with their mother, Clemens, thank goodness, has been understanding and isn't upset by their behavior. She's basically saying to give them time, but I kind of doubt that will work. It hasn't so far. So I have no idea why more time would change anything anyway. Since I'm really all out of ideas, I figured I might as well ask you if any one of you might have an idea how to handle this. Is there even a way, an approach of any sort that could work on my daughters realizing I will not, under any circumstances, get back with their mother? Well, Obi, the first thing I'm going to say is congratulations to you. I mean, I've read a lot of cheating stories on this channel, and a lot of the people that get cheated on really have issues putting themselves out there again, and they do end up with a lot of trust issues, which, of course, I understand, is one of those nasty gifts that come with the cheating, right? But with the help of friends and family and counseling, you were able to overcome it. So, congratulations on that. Now, to your point at hand, you mentioned that you've talked to them several times, but you don't say what you talk to them about. So maybe the reason is the message that you're passing on to your daughters. You keep telling them, you know, you're over it, it's not going to happen, but maybe you need to tell them what exactly happened to you so that they understand why you're not going to go back to their mom. They're almost adults. So maybe, if you're able to put them in your shoes and allow them to see things through your eyes, they'll understand and they'll leave you alone with it. And what do you guys think, or what would you do if you were in Op's shoes? Let me know in the comment section. And now, let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Deleted says, "Dude, I'm proud of you. You have done everything right. You just have one last thing to do. Don't let your ex push your buttons through your daughters. The way you do that is to not get emotional about it. Realize that, yes, it may be hard at first for your daughters, but they will get over it. They are getting older, so they will get a better perspective on everything. When they say stuff like it isn't fair to your ex, tell them you have always had no intention of getting back with your wife, and you have made that clear to her, and that is it. Just keep saying that over and over. Sooner or later they will be forced to get it if they keep bringing it up. Tell them to drop it. They are insulting someone you care about, your new girl. If they respect you, they will respect her. Don't vary from this script, broken record it. They will give up eventually. Don't feel guilty, or let your ex use your kids to guilt. You just don't care." And OPI responds, "Yeah, no worries. My ex doesn't push my buttons through our daughters, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. The point you make about them insulting someone I care about is quite fair. However, my daughters didn't exactly disrespect Clemens, not directly anyway, but I guess this counts as disrespect, not just for her, but me too, and the relationship we have. And yeah, not caring is pretty much been my stance on the ex-wife since we divorced, as long as it isn't related to our daughters or doesn't impact their lives in any way. I just don't give enough." Infinite Cobweb says, "Oh crap, their mother is messing up their future relationships with boyfriends. They are being primed to think it's okay to have someone cheat on them. If they hear apologies and declarations of love, or, alternatively, that it's going to work for them if they cheat and try hard enough to get the original person back, so they can get the original unchanged relationship back. I think this is the time to seek out family counseling with them, as well as having informal chats on how they should navigate their own potential relationships. They are integrating the wrong message from their mother into their view on this is how you love." An OPI responds, "F me. I haven't even actually thought about that. I feel so effing stupid about this, making it all about myself and how to get them to stop trying to get us back together when there's far more at stake. Seems like counseling is the only way to go now. I'll try and look up if my old counselor, the one I used after the divorce, does these kind of family sessions. She helped me a lot with my own issues and she's already familiar with the situation, so she might have better luck than someone else. Of course, if the girls don't like her or aren't responding to her, I'll certainly try and find another counselor for us or them on their own to have sessions with. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. Ready for Wine says. I know you have talked to them a lot, probably been blunt and talked to your head off without badmouthing her. Have you explained why you two separated given the situation you are in? Have you talked to a therapist if available, to figure out a way to get them to understand? You are asking us, and maybe professional counselor would help, and Dopey responds, yeah. I did. Then it turned out their mother told him about it. A few years back, some form of repentant self-flagellation on her part. I think she told them how bad she hurt me and so on and so on, and that's why she tries so hard to make it up to me now. This is complete nonsense, of course, because if she wanted to make it up to me, which she can't really do, she'd stop this and get on with her life. I haven't tried counseling yet, but yeah. It's definitely an option. I'm willing to try anything at this point. Okay, well, the community gave up some pretty good advice, particularly that second commenter. They really brought up a really good point. Now, before we move on with the update, which is 1 year after the original post, I've curated some more responses from OP that give us a lot more context. So, let's move on with that and then the update. I have tried telling them dozens of times that, while her mother and I are on good terms, it's only for them and not for us, at least not on my end. It just doesn't seem to be reaching them at all. Like I've said in other responses, I brought up her cheating to explain why I don't want to be with their mother, and they already knew about it, but they keep using the same approach every time of how she's faithful to me now. When I pointed out to them that she can't be faithful to me, given that we're not together to begin with, they just ignored that. Now here's the thing that I think is messing with their minds. They never really saw their mother as anything but loving towards me or them, or at least they don't remember if they did see her acting coldly and distant with me during her affair. And yes, it was an affair, not just a one-time thing, not that I wouldn't have divorced her either way. She was very much the opposite of loving in the bedroom. They never really saw that, nor should they have. My approaches for intimacy were often rebuffed, and I felt more and more dejected until one day I realized, with the help of a very close and very good friend, that there was nothing wrong with me and therefore, something had to be wrong with her, which is what led me to discover the affair, because I started looking for reasons why our love life had suddenly dropped so much in quality and quantity, and it wasn't just sex. There were the small things missing from our daily lives too. I know it sounds silly, but we always kissed at the front door in plain sight before either of us went to work. That's something that only now in retrospect became plain to see that was missing. Bottom line is their mother denied me even the most basic of affection while giving it to someone else outside of our marriage? To me, that's unforgivable. They don't understand that they couldn't not, even if I told them, which I'd rather not, and how hurtful it can be. When you realize that your spouse didn't really give a damn about you all that much, so all the regret and remorse and pining for us to get back together, to me it's worthless. What's the point? Where was all this supposed love and guilt and remorse when it should have mattered? They seem to think that us two being together would soon overwrite any unhappiness on my part. They can't really understand what it's like when you can't trust your partner, your spouse at that. God. I hope they never have to understand that I would never wish for either of them to be cheated on now. I have talked with my ex-wife about this on numerous occasions, possibly 100 times by now, about not bringing our adult lives and messing up our daughters in one ear and out the other, as they say now. Despite my initial apprehension, I will end up talking with them about how their mother's cheating impacted me. I'm not even doing it for myself at that point, but what another user here said about how they're internalizing this as their way to love has certainly got me worried. I have to make them understand that being cheated on or cheating on someone is not something to be taken lightly or just shrugged off. Regarding Clemence, she's not trying to be a mother figure to them at all. She knows that there are only 12 years of difference between them, and that's not really enough for them to see her as a mother figure, not to mention Clemence has no intentions of usurping their mother's place. To begin with, her approach is to just basically wait it out until they stop hoping for their mother and me to get back together, and then eventually, somewhere down the line, The relations between them will be comfortable enough to spend more and more time around each other, which is, if all things go as expected, is going to happen sooner than later. And to be fair, my daughters are not exactly being pissy, nor are they disrespectful up in her face or behind her back. Hell, they don't actually hate her from what I've gathered. They just preferred me to be back with their mom. That's all. Okay. So now we know everything about this story, and it's time to move on with the update that, like I said, is 1 year after the initial post. It's been a while since I was first here, and I was reminded recently that I owed an update to the kind and good people here who helped me with our troubles. A lot of things have happened. Among those things, my daughter actually stumbled across my post. I had no idea they even browsed Reddit, let alone this place. When I came home one day from work, I found them crying. They pretty much jumped me, hugged me, wouldn't let me go, and begged me to forgive them. Sadly, they had read one of my replies and found out the dreadful extent of my wife's affair and how much it had devastated me. It took us a while, but we got through it as a family. There was nothing for me to forgive. They're still young and they loved their mother, who took that love and used it to manipulate them. That's on her, not them. There was some much-needed counseling, but after several months the woman who was helping us heal and move on has said that nothing more needed to be done and they should only check in with her once in a while, rather than continue their weekly sessions. We're closer than we were before, but their relationship with their mother has suffered for it, which I think is completely understandable, but I still cautioned them about lingering too much on what she did, since I had gotten over what she did all those years ago. That was something also resolved in counseling, both their own and our shared ones. So it's all behind us now. I had a brief confrontation with my ex-wife about it and made it clear that she was to not talk about this getting back together nonsense anymore with our daughters. I can't tell if it really got through to her, but my daughters have not been pestered about me since then, or they simply ignore their mother and don't bring it up at home. Either way, so long as my daughters are doing fine, I could care less about what my ex-wife is doing. Since the situation has improved, things had also become much better between my daughters and my girlfriend, so much that they actually started talking with her, rather than just exchanging terse greetings and goodbyes, even occasionally asking for tips on something. Girly stuff, of course, and I can't tell you how much it warmed my heart to see it happening for the first time. I'll admit that also helped me push my thoughts in the direction of proposing to my girlfriend, who had been incredibly supportive and understanding through all of this. We had known each other for a long time, spent so much time as a couple, and after all this mess, I didn't really think there was anything more I could do to express my love for her. However, I was beaten to the punch. 2 months ago, Clemens, together with my daughters, surprised me one day and proposed to me. I have to say that I felt very odd, but also very happy. Not just the proposal, but that my daughters had actually worked with my girlfriend on surprising me that day with dinner and a night out. To put it simply, I was blown away. It was a small and private ceremony, with only our closest friends and family attending. Currently, we're also expecting, and my daughters are looking forward to having a baby brother or sister to spoil. And that's it. OP didn't respond to any comments or anything of this sort. This is awesome. Tremendously happy update. Congratulations on the wedding and your upcoming child, and of course, for all the work that you and your daughters did to get to a better place. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy it. I'm going to turn this one over to you. What do you make of this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time mean the world to me. So, thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.